One. Hello.
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 That was a very unenthusiastic hello.
Oh
I was trying to go for dramatic, but I lost energy halfway through.
All right, we're here with the
God.
Way of Kings finale. So we read the final part plus a few chapters and the epilogue. And I have to say, the Sanderlanche, while not as big as the last Mistborn book, was indeed still present in the latter half of this book.
I mean,
Mhm.
given that it's the first book of the series, that was a crazy Sanderlanche.
Yeah. So let's start off with some. Well, let's finish off part four, and then instead of just talking about all the end stuff, we'll go character by character and how their arc wraps up in this book. But
Oh,
um,
sure. Mm.
I guess first of we wait. Did we get to the last three? But we finally figured out what wit is, or kind of, and that revealed.
No,
I don't
we
think we did.
Yeah.
we
Oh, yeah,
we
that
did
happened
not.
in right as soon as we got into this part because I remember
Yeah.
texting.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Like,
I
do
read
you
it
feel
and I was like,
vindicated?
oh, yeah, I was indeed vindicated.
Vindicated.
Yes,
The
Yeah.
theory chef is always cooking in the kitchen. I'm just saying.
and he's
I wanna
cooking
hear how you
correctly.
knew though. Like, how did you know? Because like for me, it took
The,
me by
the,
surprise the first time I was
I mean, the
reading
thing
I
is
it.
though,
didn't
it's
get it.
because it was fresh in my mind because we just read Mistborn and you talked about
Okay.
World Walker. What is it again? I always forget
World
the name.
Hopper?
World Hoppers. So, and then when they said it's like he knows things he shouldn't, and like the vibe they gave
Mhm.
him very much was the same way they described Hoyd in Mistborn. I was like, oh, that's 100% him.
I don't remember his description in Mistborn though, because he's only there for two scenes. He has one actual speaking part with the main character, and then after
I
that,
don't.
yeah,
It,
Vin
it, it
never
was
met
kind
up
of
with
like
her
I
for
think
real.
that
Mhm.
when Vin didn't talk to him, the way they described the energy, like the air around him, was very much kind of similar to the way they described the air around Wit. Like there's something more going on. Obviously, it could be just coincidence, obviously, but like I was just like I think it was just fresh in my mind, especially because I had Googled stuff about Hoy after reading Mistborn. Like just like from I was like, what other books does like uh like how many other series is he in? I was like, when am I gonna? And so I knew he was gonna be in Stormlight. Is another thing too. I just didn't know when in Stormlight he was
Mm.
supposed to be in. So that's so partially it was like I got a spoiler too.
Again,
Uh,
but not a major
but
one this time.
but like the thing is
Yeah.
though, like I don't know if that was enough for me to really make a connection that Wit was Hoyd. I because it could have been like just like Mistborn where it was like he kind of just like pops in for like a scene or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, this time he was
Because
like a
Yeah,
that's
whole ass
and
character.
he has a
Yeah.
much more developed role in the Stormlight Archive.
mm,
That's all I'll
Mhm.
say.
That's good. I like him a lot though. At least as the wit, he is very witty and funny and savage.
mm,
Mhm.
Except
And
he
he does
protects our boy
mention
Renarin.
he mentioned Ad Dalnasium, which was mentioned in
Yes.
Mistborn, although we didn't get too much from that book. It was it was kind of like a throwaway line just to hint at, I guess, the Cosmere. But I don't know, and I guess Andre, you can answer this because it's not too much of a spoiler. Do we find out more about this in this book, or is this also kind of just like a name drop?
It's a name drop.
Oh, okay, so
Mm.
they don't really
Yeah.
address it further in this series or book.
In this book, no, but in the
Okay,
series, it definitely will be addressed.
okay. That's good to know.
So what this is like more of like a meta question. Is Stormlight the true beginning of like when the Cosmere started becoming a thing, by the way?
Is that a
Or
spoiler?
was that or no no, I mean
Mhm.
like in like a meta way. Like not
In a meta
Like in
way,
his
Oh,
actual
when he
like
writing it.
started.
in his actual like Brandon Sanderson making the universe, was Stormlight kind of his beginnings of like really making it a universe? Or was it even earlier than this? For
I
like
don't
the
know
public.
if like meta writing, if this was the first book that he conceptualized, but it's definitely his baby, in
Hmm.
which almost
Mm,
all his concepts are coming together into this book.
mm,
Because it's like if you just see how much he's written and how much he's planned for the Stormlight Archive compared to his
yeah,
other series, at least by now, he did
yeah.
like 10 books, multiple novellas. Um, there's also the
I am
I don't
so
even know
excited to
what's
read
in
the novellas, by the way,
Hmm.
for
yeah,
the
I don't
Stormlight.
Oh, I
like, I don't even
forgot
know
there's
what's
a
in
few of
Ars
them. Yeah.
Arcanum yet, like, it's definitely his baby child, so I don't
Okay.
know if he started, like, writing the Cosmere with this series in mind, but I definitely know that this is the one where he's putting all his he's like referencing all his other books, and this is like his I think this is his magnum opus. Like that's what he
Okay,
wants to
yeah.
do,
Mm.
at least for now.
Should we take a pause, like maybe after the second Stormlight Archives book, to read something else in the Cosmere based on that like chart?
Oh yeah, we should go back to the chart and see, because
Yeah.
I think Warbreaker is great.
Oh,
I
I
know you
remember.
already
Mm.
read it, Lois.
That's a
Yeah,
Yeah.
standalone, right?
yeah, just it's well, technically it was a standalone, but he announced he's gonna do like a second book in the Warbreaker series
Nice. He's gonna make it a
at some
series.
Yeah.
no date attached to it. Just will do it is all
So
we
you know
got.
it's like
Sure.
at
Okay.
least
So
25 years from now.
for all intents and purposes, it is a standalone book.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
For now.
But I am actually, but like from what I read, like title, just the title alone. Oh, I'm so excited for that second book though, because it's something about the first book that I'm like, I need to know more about this. You can't just not tell me more about this.
Hmm.
Oh, you have
It's
to tell me. It's been a minute.
it's named after a knight. What the fuck is that? The sword. The title is the sword's name. Like that
Oh,
fuck.
the
I've been
oh wait, just I
Oathbringer?
forgot honestly.
Well, that's the
knight
next book of
something.
this series.
Oh
No,
no,
no.
I don't. Yeah.
Or not the next.
The Vasher's sword. It's named after his sword, the second book. It's been a while, so you probably
Uh,
don't remember. But like
yeah, no, it's been like a decade, pretty
Yikes.
sure.
Well,
Nightblood.
Um,
That's what it's called,
and it will
Net-
Nightblood.
probably be another before you get to read it.
And to be fair, there's no date attached to it, so that means it's not coming out anytime soon. So you don't really have to think about it until
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
But know that Brandon Sanderson's gear like cogs are turning. He is thinking about it.
This dude must be writing like with both hands and each foot. Like I don't know how he's writing this
Yeah.
much.
This man got incredible toes. He's typing.
yeah.
And then also dictating another book at the same time. That's like 5 books
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
He must have the secret to eternal youth. I don't know how he has this much planned. It is gonna plan to do it.
I hope he
There's
has
no
like a
way.
succession plan in case like he ever like passes like of natural causes and then like he can't finish his series still. Like I would still like someone to like ghostwrite or pick it up for him with
I'm
his
sure
Yeah, he
he has
ideas.
definitely has
like
like
copious notes, so
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of notes, and he has like a team of 80 who's like helping him
Hell
like
yeah.
write these books
Okay.
basically.
It's in good hands.
Yeah, definitely. We know
He
we
has
don't need to
people
worry
like
about
per,
him.
per series. I think he has like multiple employees whose sole job is to help him write the books by like making sure he's not creating any plot holes and things like that. Like per
mm.
series, they're just experts on the series.
Damn, imagine that was your job. That'd be cool.
That'd be
That's a
pretty
cool
cool.
ass
You're a
job.
Stormlight archive specialist.
Fact checker.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep going with part 4. Oh, this is where Sadia says that Dalinar's innocent after he did his investigation. That's good. They're chill bros for
Mhm,
now.
mhm.
That is that goddamn bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that later.
But at this
um,
time, I was like, yeah, they're homies.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
said too. I was like, "Aw,
I
they're
literally
bros in
wrote
the
in
end."
all caps, "The boys are back." I was
Yeah.
We were so
Yeah.
wrong.
It got me by
Yeah, I
surprise
think
too. Oh,
it must be when that happened, but I have a note that's like, IDK, what do we think? Do we ship Dal and Sadie?
No, not anymore. But
we did
maybe in the
Foreshadowing.
next book.
we did until we didn't.
We did until we didn't.
Unless we still do.
I also have a note from chapter 55. I don't remember what it's about, but it's just Moash throat goat. And I
What?
don't know what that
What?
is.
Huh? Huh?
I
Did
don't
he like
know. I wrote
drink
the
the soup
page
in one
number.
gulp or something?
Moash throat goat. Why is he?
Yeah.
Or
I'm
did he
trying
stab
to remember.
someone in the throat?
Oh, it was when they were trying to figure out how to, when they were in the fucking canals or whatever, they're trying to figure out how to get the
Yeah,
money
how
out.
to
And he's
smuggle
like,
Oh,
we
to
the
could
swallow
spear.
oh
swallow
it?
yeah,
them.
he's like swallow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like, you
Okay.
would choke. Spheres are too big. And he's like, I bet I could do it.
Okay.
His eyes glittered,
Yeah.
reflecting the verdant stormlight. I was like, damn.
Good for him, I guess.
Infinite throat, he said.
He's
Yeah, and
like,
then Cat is like,
my
nah,
throat can
they would
handle
look at it. They would still find it in the shit. Although, not gonna lie, if I shat like a glowing shit, I would look for something in it. if I were
Yeah, like,
them.
no, you
Yeah.
you would know.
You
Yeah,
would
because
know.
you
So I don't
swallowed
know
it.
what Kaladin was like. Nah, they'll find it when we took a dump. I'm like, no, Kaladin. Like, my hands
I'll
are like
find it when
going
I
right
take
now.
it down.
Yes. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, what's the next chapter?
Dalinar saves Sadeas from the almost dying, basically.
Mhm.
They do
Yeah,
their what is
the
it called?
joint
Their like
assault.
dual plateau run because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you
Yeah.
know, it's a good idea. We should go into battle together with your fast what bridges and my whatever like army
He
prowess.
he
We
he
can
had like
take
a
it
better
down.
army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then
Yeah.
Sadeas
Yeah.
almost gets beaten to a pulp, and Dalinar saves his ass. And I wrote rip Sadeas, I guess, and then 2 lines later, okay, never mind. Sadeas lives to see another day. He got some thick plot
Yeah.
armor.
Which makes
Yeah. For
the
real.
later reveal just so much more annoying.
Exactly. So now I
Yeah.
know why
Mhm.
they did
That
this.
made me I was actually so furious when I was reading.
Yeah.
And then you kind
Um,
of have to be mad at Dalinar too, because like, well, again, going back to the end of the final reveal of his visions, it's like, bro, if you were like so in your mind thinking that, of course this guy. Oh, but we should just talk about it later because I'm getting sidetracked.
yeah, we're close. Once we get to part 5,
Yeah,
we're gonna like just talk
yeah,
about the ending. We
yeah,
just want to finish part
yeah.
4. But yeah, after this, then it's like Kaladin's POV, I think from the same battle. I don't remember. But then, one of the bridgemen maps dies and starts like speaking that like nonsense quote book stuff, and then
Mhm.
like everyone
Mm.
like just is not phased by it. I'm like, okay, so I guess this just happens, and people are like, you know, it happens, but you know, then they die afterwards, and then I'm like, okay,
Seems fine.
seems not creepy at all. And
Yeah.
then Teft is
Wait,
sounding like Kaladin's therapist because he's like, "Oh, how do you feel? Any odd experiences lately?" And this is when Kaladin still doesn't know he's like storm blessed.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, what that means.
yeah, and then we find out that Syl is apparently not a Windspren, and it's still mysterious as to like what she is at this point. But she can
Mhm.
bind things with Stormlight, so she's some other
Yeah.
type of spread.
And he's like getting his power from Syl, which I kind of already, or like in somehow like
Yeah.
it's connected to him being able to do the lashing stuff.
Oh yeah, and in the Ars Arcanum at the end of the book, they do describe what the lashing is, which did help a little bit,
Mhm.
but I didn't read the full thing fully. Um, what did I write? Oh, I feel like Kaladin said something similar, but I was like, this is an emo line. It's like you say, "Damn, bro, I'm feeling as broken as the shattered plains." And then
My heart
Kaladin
shattered
meets,
like these planes.
yeah, Kaladin meets Wit, aka Hoyd, and they have like a back and forth. And
They
Wit,
smoke some ayahuasca and go
yeah,
on a
Yeah.
yeah.
it
journey.
was giving like Caterpillar vibes from Alice in Wonderland, and he's like on the
Oh,
hookah
yeah.
and just like blowing smoke and stuff. Except like there was a
Smoke
campfire and
show.
Hoyd was like playing like the flute or something. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
he goes really meta and says, "I began life as a thought, a concept, words on a page." I'm like, does he know? Does he know he's just a character
He's a-
through
He
words on a
knows
page?
he's what.
Yeah, and then he says the purpose of a
Yeah.
storyteller is to not tell you how to think, but to give you questions to think upon. Too often we forget that. I'm like, nice.
Wow.
Critical thinking. Oh, and then Sigzil is like some sort of apprentice to Hoyd, and Hoyd's like the master world
Yeah.
singer.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. So I
That was
wonder, hopefully Sigzil's plot armor is robust. We can see more of him later.
Hmm.
yeah. It also makes you wonder, like, I wonder if Sigzil knows, or like, the people who do that know that, or if like they just think that he's a regular, whatever their thing is, world singer. They're like, he's just a really well-traveled guy,
Mm.
knows a lot of stuff.
Oh, but in reality, like he's like special because he can like hop universes.
Yeah. I like wonder if he knows that.
We shall see in the next book or
Chelsea?
the next book.
In sometime. I have a note for chapter 58 that is
Mm.
about poor when Adeline's like talking to his like friends and just like
Hmm.
drinking and being rich. I was like, oh, poor Adeline just wants to put on a silly little outfit and do a silly little duel,
Hmm.
and everyone is telling him he has to do war. relatable.
But also
Oh,
in
this is
58, I have a note
yeah.
about Elhokar and saying he
Mhm.
sees twisted men in mirrors. I was like, is he seeing the geometric boy band? Like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
think he is.
That's what my first thought was. I was like, the way he described it, I was like, is this the boy band? Are they also
No, this
following
is
Elhokar?
Mhm. Yeah, and if that's,
I was
like,
like, is it?
I mean, I guess we kind of get a view of this later, but I was like, "Oh, if those people are related to, like, soul casting in Shallon's
Yeah.
case, does that mean Elgar has the ability to soul
Ooh,
cast?" He's
that's
not
a
Yeah,
good point.
paranoid,
exactly.
he's just different.
Oh, Alucard.
He's just quirky, guy.
Yeah, he's really pathetic, but I mean, hopefully he
Yeah.
gets some like,
He is
I don't know.
pathetic, but I really have a place in my heart for pathetic men in books.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
sure
in,
you're
like, a
someone
gonna
out there
like
is
relatable
simping for him
way.
right now.
you're gonna like his arc.
Oh
That's good.
yes,
Yeah, yeah. He's a good dude. Like from, I mean, this is like more to the end, but like seeing his interaction with his uncle, I'm like, all right, he's not like totally like, whatever. He is a little whiny king,
He's a boy
but
uh,
he's a boy king.
yeah, boy
he's
king. But
Yeah.
he is a
is
boy
he
king.
older than his sister than Jasna?
I
Uh,
actually
uh,
forget. I want to say
I
Jason's
I
older.
don't know.
yeah, I think Jasna's
Yeah.
older.
She's
Am
like
I if I remember
26, I
correctly?
think. She's like our age ish.
I don't know if we
Yeah.
actually know that or if that's just vibes.
My head canon.
That
That's
is a
also
good
what I
point.
think.
It could just be vibes because just the way they
She's more
act is
mature.
very much he is older sister and he is like younger brother, little shit.
All right. Since I don't care about spoiling myself because I read most of the books, I will
You
confirm
can
Yeah,
check
look it
it.
that
up and you can be our fact checker.
Jasna is older than
Mm.
Elokar.
What's their age in
Okay.
this book though? You know?
So she was born in 39 and he was born in 47. So that's what, 8-year difference?
Oh, that's a big
Oh,
Oh
age
pretty
gap,
dang.
yeah.
significant.
I guess
No
like
wonder he acts like that.
yeah.
But like, I don't know, everyone is young. Isn't Kaladin like 19?
I forget
Oh,
that. I really
oh
forget
Yeah.
that.
shit, he's 19?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Paladin's 19.
Yeah.
Oh, what
Because he
the
was 15 when he was conscripted, right? And then
Yep.
it's been
Oh,
4
you're
years since then.
right. Yeah.
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 He
I
just
always
is old and so an old
She's just
soul.
seeing some shit.
He's too
I
emo.
mean, this man
It
is
ages
shattered
him.
like the shattered plains, right?
Yes.
Like
For real. Also, like, I don't know. I don't really get the vibe that like people live very long in this universe. You know,
yeah.
like it feels a little bit more like medievally, where like
Yeah.
maybe
You live to like
60
40.
is
Yeah.
kind of the end of things. But I don't know
Yeah,
if that's just
Elokar
my
is
vibe.
6 years older than Kaladin.
So
Okay.
25,
Oh damn.
20,
Yeah.
S
Makes
20.
25.
sense given
25.
how he acts. 25?
Yeah. But I feel like in the realm of this world, that's like very much an adult,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know?
I mean,
Like I think
18,
it's
definitely an
different than
adult.
our standards if you're being conscripted into the army at 15. And
And Tien was what,
like
like 13? So,
yeah, and Kaladin was gonna like go to college at 15 basically. He was gonna become
Oh
a surgeon.
yeah.
Yeah, they grow
So,
up old. They grow up fast. I mean, kind of like
mhm.
before. I think this we're one of the. I don't know when it started. Maybe the baby boomers, but before the baby boomers, like
Mhm.
you had to grow up. Basically, after you
Yeah.
finish high school, you were a full adult with a full ass job and like
A
kids and like
Roshar 25 is
Yeah.
yeah.
like a New York City 42.
oh god.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, yeah, Elokar is a little man baby.
Aw. He'll
But
grow
I
up,
Maybe
kind
a
of like
little baby.
hopefully.
but I kind of like him. My pathetic little king.
Yeah.
He's learning.
Don't look up
And
any of these characters, by the way.
yeah,
Oh
okay, we
yeah, I
won't.
trust me.
I'm not looking up
I learned
nothing.
my lesson
Yeah.
Yeah, then we see
with
their
moving.
status on the wiki.
Oh, status on wiki is like the
Yeah.
worst thing in this world.
Yeah.
I've definitely spoiled
That
myself with a
should
few
be
games and stuff.
behind like a spoiler like tag. You
It
know what I mean? Like
it
that should be
really
behind
should.
a like a
What
redacted
happened?
thing that you
Like
have to click.
they said?
Oh my
No,
god.
just like the status of things
Of
Oh, the
on
status.
characters.
Wiki.
Yeah.
Status
Yeah.
god.
My favorite part was they say is like, "Yep, he's the god." I'm like, "What?" Like
There is
that's literally
no
what happens.
deceased or
Status.
Like,
alive, just God.
God.
no, just God. Like I'm like, that happens literally in like the last 2 chapters of the book. How can you just point that like?
It
It
was
should be at
right?
the top
it,
of the
it
wiki
was
page.
in complete bold at the top. It was insane that they put it there.
It just says like the first sentence is like, say that is God of the blah blah blah. And we're like, what?
I think it was actually it was posed like when Sazed becomes God. I was like, what?
Excuse me? Spoilers for Mistborn.
Yeah.
Hey, we had that as a book club, so if y'all been following along,
Yeah.
anonymous watchers, then you'll know.
The gentle monk becomes god of the world.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a character arc if I've ever heard one.
That's some
But back,
JRPG shit.
yes,
Yeah, actually.
Oh, so
but
wait,
back to
going
the
Um,
back
book.
to where we are 58, when they're describing like the fighting stances, stone stance and wind stance, I'm like, this just sounds
mm.
like kendo. Like literally, it's the
Oh,
Chudan no Kamae and the Jodan no Kamae,
Yeah.
which is like the stances we learned. Chudan is like the normal one where you're like your sword's in front of you, abdomen, and then
Yeah.
Jodan is when you have the sword like raised over your head and you like that's the stance you like fight in. I'm like, wait, this is just kendo. But that was still cool.
yeah.
I actually I follow like a lot of sword like play TikTok people, and I was like, oh, I know all these. They have different names in real life. But I was like, I know this.
Do you think Brando Sando had to hire like a swords play like expert to help consult?
I
I
don't know.
mean,
I feel like he seems like a
Yeah.
guy who
Probably.
might just know that.
That's
yeah.
his hobby, his side
And
hobby.
there's like
Like
whole
he
like
seems like
there's like
maybe a kid who
whole
was into like medieval
uh,
weaponry or something and learned
yeah,
about
and a
sword
lot of
fighting.
like swords masters from like the medieval times have like books about like the different stances and stuff. So you might have just read those.
He does
There's
seem
also
like a
this
guy who
guy
would
on
read that.
YouTube called like I forget his name, Shad's Academy, Shadiversity, I think it is, where he like goes into medieval um whatchamacallit, architecture too,
Hmm.
and goes over how
Mm,
like things are can be oh no, medieval weapons and how to actually use them
mm,
because like he gets
I will
annoyed.
I will say
mm,
I do love that Cal's weapon of choice is a spear, which is very much like the weapon of the people and not like a royal
hmm.
weapon.
Hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
because like only royals realistically in real life would have ever had swords, so he's a man of the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
And
sword
spears
is
are cool as
expensive.
shit.
Yeah.
I want to see more bows, but
Mm.
There is
they're
archers.
not very
I mean, they
they're not
have
like
their
the
what like
weapon of choice.
the like those like shard bow things or whatever.
Were they called shard bows?
I don't remember what the name was. I just called them shard bows. I can't remember what the name was.
To go with shard
The
bow.
like the new technology thing that they're
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
Fabrials to like enhance stuff.
Pete with the posture check. Everyone crack your backs.
Aw,
Thank you,
shit.
Pete.
Oh, thanks, Pete.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm already sitting straight up in like cross-legged position in my
Damn, you're
chair.
I was
good.
doing a
That
bad
keeps your back
job.
straight. All right, so the chapter after. So we found out that life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination quote is called the first ideal of four of the immortal words, which we'll talk about more later. But
Which comes up for
yeah,
sure.
it comes up later.
Uh, in chapter 59, also, we find out that the Way of Kings was a founding text for the Radiants.
Mm-hmm. So
Mm.
that means it's like
It's a
old,
bit of
old, like
history.
super old.
Yeah.
All right, next chapter, more Navani Dalinar drama. Navani is a hashtag woman in STEM, but I feel like all women are in this universe.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, kind of.
She likes crafting
Yeah.
fabrials, which is cool. Like
My
I like seeing that she's not
my
just like
note
wasting her time as like the queen
Mm.
mother.
mm, my note for this chapter is, fellas, is it gay to be an engineer?
Yeah,
The answer is
very
It's
gay.
not
yes.
gay, it's just
The
feminine.
answer is yes. I will say if I was in this world of Roshar, 100%, that's what I would have been doing. I would have been a magic engineer.
Yeah, that is extremely
Well,
cool.
Cal's mom
But
was like, I
I
guess
would have been a
suggesting.
gay magic engineer because I technically can't be one.
Yeah.
You would have had to just be like a priest, I guess. You have to be an ardent,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
like you
you're
Oh,
can
right.
true,
kind of
yeah,
do
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Oh yeah, like I could be the guy who eats sweet stuff but
Yeah,
because
you could
he's a
eat
priest.
sweet food and make little gadgets. I mean, maybe that's why they're always at war, because none of the men in this country ever had just like a sweet little treat.
Yeah, the whole
Mm.
thing, their whole life is just spicy food.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
really
you know,
just
I
wanted
would.
a
easily
sweet little treat and they couldn't have it,
yeah.
so they did war
I
instead.
would
They have their
also be
colored
mad
wine.
if I could never have tiramisu again. I think I would also go to war.
Yeah. Which
But you would
honestly
be
also
able to
makes me
drink the
kinda sad
highest
for the
Gatorade.
women.
What'd you say?
Like, they can never have a little bit of,
Mm,
a little
yeah,
you know, sometimes you want a little spicy food.
Mm.
Mm.
yeah. Also, do they all have diabetes? Because like they only eat sweet food.
These are the questions that we have
These
to
Yeah,
are the
that
questions
answer.
Brando said. No, answer
they
me.
they
Does he
really
have like
don't
a
believe in the
newsletter?
food pyramid.
Yeah, we can send in our questions.
Yeah. How much of the war is based on men wanting a sweet little treat, and how many of the women have diabetes?
They don't know
Also,
it's
like,
diabetes. It's probably
esophageal
called something else.
cancer
Yeah.
or like, stomach like,
Oh
I
yeah,
forget which
from like
cancer it is for
Oh, the
eating
when you eat
spicy
burgers.
food.
spicy food.
True.
Poor
Very
people of
true.
Roshar.
Yo, but they got curry. That's all that matters.
They
I could live in this universe now.
That is true.
But actually, would I be able to eat it? I guess not.
Yeah.
No,
You only have sweet
Technically,
Oh,
no.
curry.
never
you have
mind.
to be a man, yeah, sorry.
I've had sweet curry before, but not
I mean,
too
unless we
sweet.
all become. Well, no, actually, only men can become Ardents, right?
We
Or
all
no, no,
become
women can
ardents and we
become
No.
can eat
Ardents. We
anything
all
we
become
want.
Ardents. Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
all
yeah, no, yeah. There was women Ardents. We all become Ardents just so we can eat a variety of food.
He should have a character like that whose like backstory is just like, yeah, I just liked other food because I had it like as like a forbidden taste as a child, so I became an ardent so I could eat it without
yeah.
getting persecuted.
Yeah.
I
So we
mean, I get
could
behind
like
that.
eat whatever I want and also read.
And read,
I could
yes.
just read books. I could like learn about stuff if I want to, and I don't have to do war. That
Sounds
is
like
the
a
life.
great career. All right, back to chapter 60. So Dalinar in this vision meets Nohadon, the Great King, who's the guy that wrote The Way
Mm.
of Kings. So he's like fanboying a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, I that was all I had for that chapter. But then
And I
so
made a note that said like because he was like confused why someone could read or something like that. I was like,
oh
oh,
yeah,
it's
because
not
back
gay
then
to
it
read in
wasn't
the
gay to read.
past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was not gay to read in the past.
yeah. I like who invented gay reading in this in
their
this
religion.
world. Yeah.
Also, I think it's only like the warring countries, right? So the
Yeah.
Hmm.
non-warring countries,
Oh, true. Yeah.
it's not gay to read.
So it is their religion.
Yeah. So it does
But
seem.
Oh yeah,
we
next
finally
chapter.
get proof though that he's not crazy or like
We'll see.
some level of proof.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
They ask
Yeah.
Dalinar about the Night Watcher who uses the old magic. And they said that
Hmm.
they characterize they have used the word Night Watcher before I noted, and the way they characterize the Night Watcher, at least like up until now, is almost like the Grim Reaper who supervises like death. So they're like the black side of magic, I guess.
Mm.
Because they said like, oh, like something when you like die, you like go into the hands of like the Night Watcher or something like that, is what they say. But anyway, they're kind of hinting, or not hinting at that Dalinar did seek out the Night Watcher to get like his curse and his gift, and where it's like I'm like 85% sure his curse is not remembering his wife.
Hmm.
Hmm. He does say
Uh
that like explicitly at some point in this book.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, somewhere.
Yeah.
And then they kissed. Oh my god.
And
Yeah.
then
I wrote, ah, Dal, you
finally,
dog, kissing your sister-in-law.
Hey, his brother's dead, so it's probably okay.
and like she
This-
said, in other cultures, they would have been forced to marry regardless.
that is true. That is true.
Yeah, she did a lot of standing up for herself because she's like, oh yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
worried about Gavilar. He's been dead. What about me? I'm alive.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit about me. I'm like, yeah, you're right, Navani. Go off.
Yeah. She also says that she had ample reason to be unfaithful to Gavilar, even though she wasn't. So I was like, damn, what
Ooh,
did he do to her? Like,
Right.
I want to hear about that later.
yeah.
I mean,
So the
they
team
reference multiple
Navani.
times that yeah, Team Navani. Like, didn't they all say Gavilar only became like like the nice king after he started reading The Way of Kings, and that was like at the
Yeah.
end of his life.
Yeah.
Oh, so he was like a
But
bad king before then.
He was kind of.
I
I
don't
don't think
think
he was
he
a
was
bad king. He was just an asshole. I think, which
yeah,
made
I
for
think
a
he was
good
just
king, technically.
more, yeah, more classically like
Lethe.
of them. Yeah, Lethe, of just like
More
redo
masculine.
fighting and stuff. And then at the end, he was like, "Actually,
You
I
you
have
know
thoughts now."
you could classify him as like a super straight, if you will.
If you will, an alpha male, one might say.
Oh yeah.
He was not a beta soy boy.
Yeah. Not at all. That was the last thing anyone would use for my man Gavilar until the very end. That's
hmm
when he became a beta soap boy. Actually,
But
like
it's
Mhm.
okay
so
because he
beta that
died
they
for that.
weren't even that surprised that he could write.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, which we know wasn't the case because we saw that in the prologue
yeah.
Yeah,
that
but
it
no one
wasn't
was
him
like,
He's
"Oh
writing.
yeah, man, he knew how to write." Wow, I'm not
Wow,
like.
judged hard.
Meanwhile,
well,
this
they did,
hectic
but
old
they
alpha.
kept it like quiet because
Yeah, they
of
kept
that.
it hush hush.
When they found out, Dalinar was like, "How did he learn how to write?" It's like, we can't let this get out that the king knew how to write.
Does Navani know that like he left words like quote unquote Gavilar left words? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. She never has mentioned it, at least
Yeah,
in
so
this
maybe she
book.
doesn't know
And
that like he quote unquote wrote words on his like dying few seconds.
Yeah.
But all right, back to the battle, back to the war. So Kaladin becomes a decoy to the Parshendi with bones, which like they're holding.
Oh yeah, that
Who is
was
it?
savage.
What do they call him? Just Parsh? What do they call him? Oh, Shen. They call him Shen, like
Yeah.
Parshendi.
And yeah.
Yeah, they're Shen.
Shen.
They're Parshman Bridgeman. That's too many men. Is like having like a fit because they're desecrating the Parshendi dead, which I would be too if
Yeah.
that was like my people's. So, but it's working because they're all focusing on Kaladin, who is like
Mm.
dressed in the bones of their dead.
Uh-huh. And like
Um,
deflecting all the arrows
yeah, and his
with his
Stormlight is
power.
also like pulling the arrows towards him too, like
Mm.
misdirection.
Mhm.
And yeah. And what else is there? Oh, then Moash is training for vengeance to kill someone. We don't know too much other about his backstory, other than he's what a throat goat and he has
Rogo,
vengeance.
and he has vengeance. All right.
He's an angry throat.
Oh, and then back to Dalinar's POV. So this is where they talk about that other people don't know that he was probably cursed to forget his wife because like they can say his wife's name, but he just can't hear it. Um, And then Dalinar's inner monologue, like his thoughts, he basically let it slip that he almost contemplated killing his brother for the throne and for Navani. But dude was too
Mm.
honorable, so
Mm,
he did not do that.
yeah, he's like fighting against his nature.
Yeah. And his nature is like a killing machine, aka the
Yeah,
Blackthorn.
The Blackthorn.
the Blackthorn.
But Dalinar cares about the Bridgemen, which is nice. So this is they're doing the joint assault again.
Mm-hmm.
This is when we get to it. So the tower. And then they do a joint assault. Dalinar gets there. They're surrounded. They're on this high plateau with that tower, and then Dalinar is like, "Oh, this is great. I wonder how Sadeas is doing." And then he looks over, and then like his whole army is retreating.
Thaddeus is
Just
retreating.
running
And he's
away.
like, "What?" And then he's like, "Well, where are the scouts? The scouts should have blah blah blah." And like, nah, everyone's just piecing out from Sadeas' side.
And
Um,
Adeline looks directly
yeah.
into the camera, given like that little, just like I knew this shit was gonna happen.
And then I wrote, "Oh, I thought Sadeas was chill now, but now he's on my shit list once again."
Yep.
Yeah, that's the note
But
for that chapter is just the
yeah,
betrayal.
the utter betrayal.
The utter betrayal.
I didn't have much for chapter 66, but then I was like, okay, so seeing how Sadeas betrayed him, so that voice in Dalinar's head was, I guess, wrong about trusting Sadeas, which we do kind of get resolution about later, because we figure out
Yeah.
that the visions can't hear him, really.
Yeah, he just interpreted that however he wanted.
You
Yeah,
want to
oops.
Yeah.
exactly? That's what I'm saying. Like, I was so
Oopsies.
angry. I'm like, bro, if you had just taken a moment to just interact and like try to have a conversation, you realize that he's just repeating what he's already said.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
There's no like
Yeah,
like the vision doesn't have a conversation with you. But
yeah.
oh well.
He thought that it was just being like vague.
Cryptic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a cryptic voice
But
of God.
the fact that, like, the timing was so good, like, because Dalinar was, like, posing a question, and then the guy would, like, respond. So, like, it would be different if, like, the
Yeah.
vision was just, like, talking over him and, like, pretending he just wasn't there completely. So I could kind of see where Dalinar's coming from, and he's, like, in this crazy-ass, like, dream world at the same time, so. It was
Mhm.
too much of a coincidence.
Yep.
In this chapter, though, we do get to see Adeline and his dad kind of have a little moment, and he's like, he doesn't blame Dalinar for the betrayal, and he's actually proud
Yeah.
of
Cause
his dad.
yeah,
So they get a little moment together at least.
Aw.
well, their dying moment,
Yeah,
as far as they know, which is sad. Cause like, damn, like that's rough. Like, if you know you're dying out there, you're like gonna say everything to like your parent and whoever, and you're just gonna fight to the death, basically. Just like in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh. So
Very
then
cute.
back to Kaladin's POV. Syl is all of a sudden normal size, which would have freaked me the fuck out if that was me. Like, and I just
Yeah.
looked over. I'm like, holy shit, she's like full size now.
she went full wind baddie.
And they're not gonna. They didn't explain how or why. They're just like, oh, she's normal
Yeah.
size now, and I'm like,
And then
okay.
she's just
Hopefully
back, and they're like,
we
"Okay,
find
well."
more. But we found out she's an honor spren who binds things. So spirit of oaths, of promises, and
Mhm.
of nobility. So she's like a special type of spren.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Kaladin drew all of the arrows to shield with the Stormlight power. Oh yeah, so his bridge crew, I guess, as much as Kaladin says he hates Bright Eyes and whatnot, he does do the right thing when it counts.
Hmm.
So his bridge crew stays back and like, I don't know, tries to set up a single bridge for the entirety colon army.
Yeah.
Kaladin's PTSD strikes again, and then we actually flash back to when he finds Tien, which is extremely sad. And then
Oh God.
Yeah.
all the Alethi civil wars just sound so dumb because like he wasn't even fighting the Parshendi. This was like an Alethi v Alethi battle that they were in at
Yeah.
the time.
Just like a border dispute.
Yeah, like I was like, this
Yeah.
is so dumb. No wonder that like Dalinar and whoever's like, yo, we have to get the fuck back to our kingdom because like this shit's just like
Yeah.
happening
Yeah.
back there.
And that's so
But
sad. Yeah, and
so
got used
sad.
as fodder just to fucking die.
Yeah. And then the fact that Tien smiled when he saw his brother, but then that was like the last time he saw his brother.
Mm.
He was just a lad.
He was
Oh,
like
but then
what?
Yeah.
He was like 12 too, right? Or whatever. Like
it was
I
like
thought
he
he
was a
was
12, but then
baby.
younger.
they had been in the army for what, like a few months, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember
He was a
how.
baby. He
Is
was
he
a little
like 3
baby.
years younger than
He was a
Kaladin?
baby.
Yeah.
But having that flashback gave Kaladin the, I guess, the mental fortitude to say the words, which we now
The
know as the
words.
second ideal of the Knights Radiant. I will protect those who cannot protect themselves. And then he runs into battle.
Yeah. But also he like needed to say that to unlock something because Syl was like, you gotta say it, say
Yeah.
the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't
It's
fully
like what Raven from
explained.
Teen Titans like has to say those words, and that's how she gets her power.
Mhm.
Oh, Azriat Metronome
Metreon
Zinthos.
Zinthos. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that shit was in the
Yeah.
back of my head
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly.
I was like, damn, like you remember. Well, she was a baddie. I would also remember everything she said.
I wasn't listening to her.
Mhm.
What color were her pants?
Don't ask me that question.
Uh,
Okay, and then also yeah, Kaladin is like being OP in the field. Back to Dalinar.
mhm.
So the second army is coming now, so they're like doubly effed. And then a Parshendi Shardbearer just randomly shows up and is like 1v1ing Dalinar, which I guess, that's also
Mm,
honorable that the Shardbearer is not like also just slaughtering the Colon army.
yeah, and they
But
make a point saying like somehow the Parshendi have more ethics than any
yes,
Alethi.
yep,
Mhm.
Yep.
it's true. Then Kaladin's going around trying to like find commanding officers, and they're like, "Oh, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead." And Kaladin's like, "All right, guess what, motherfucker, you're in charge." And he's like, he's like trying to get like the word out to go over the bridge because I don't think like no one was like really noticing it in the chaos of battle. So that's going on. Then flip back to the Shard Bearer duel. The Prashendi Shard Bearer speaks perfect Alethi apparently to Dalinar, which is weird because like he only talked I think towards the end,
Mhm.
and he is apparently Parshendi, but they exchange salute at the end when Dalinar finally retreats over the bridge.
Mm.
But what I didn't understand was this chapter's name was Ishonai, and they didn't explain what that was. Does anyone remember
You
what that means?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm gonna be quiet.
Yes, okay, yes, okay. Because I was like, "Okay, it's probably gonna be explained later," but as, like, I guess, like, foreshadowing, I'm like, "Oh, it's really interesting he named this chapter this word, but then completely did not explain what this word was." So, yeah, I guess we're gonna find out in the next book.
Yeah. I also really liked the section where Paladin like meets Adeline again and he's like ordering him around. Yeah, I was like,
Mm.
damn. Full 180. He's like, I'm in charge of this army now, you dumbasses.
And
He's
Adeline is
like,
how old?
I
Because
will leave
Adeline's
my dad.
also,
He's
like
like, I'm gonna fucking take care of it. You get your people out of here.
Adeline is younger than, El Holkar, right?
I think
I think
so.
so.
He's probably, like, early
Let me
20s?
let me confirm.
Okay, yeah, you can confirm, just
Yeah.
to get everyone's, like, ages correct, even though this is, like, the end of the first book.
He is
I'm
born
giving, like, 22
1150,
vibes from him.
and then Elokar was 47,
45.
so he is 3 years younger than Elokar.
Okay, yeah, so, like, early 20s, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so they're retreating, and they lost what, most like, 75% of the number of people that they came with, only, like,
Hmm.
4,000 people came back, I think. Um, and so then Navani's, like, basically not grieving, but it is ironic that she drew the justice glyph and not, like, something else. Like death or like prayer for like the dead or something like that. So anyway, she's like angry at Sadius because Sadius is like, "Oh, if you saw the battle, you know that this was a tactical retreat and we had to, otherwise blah 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 blah." And she's like seething. But then like he literally just like walks in at that same time, kind of after she drew the glyph, and
Mm.
everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're alive!" And Sadius is like pissing his pants. Um,
My only note for that part was, "I'm coming home to the place where I
Is
you,
belong."
below.
they should play that in the movie.
In the movie.
Some Daughtry. But then he confronts Sadius in like a non-violent manner, which man, I would have like wrung him out if I was Dalinar. But otherwise, that would
Yeah.
have thrown the war camps into more chaos. So I understand.
Mm.
But I am not the bigger man. Dalinar is. Oh yeah, and then he vowed to Kaladin to get them out of Sadius's army camp. Kaladin's a Kiesh or whatever. Like I'm gonna believe you. But then he still like has a hope that after seeing Dalinar, he's kind of honorable that maybe he'll keep true to his word. And he does because he tried his hardest to get them out with just straight money. And then Sadius, I don't know why though he was like so adamant about keeping his bridge crew. I mean, now he is kind of left without any bridgemen, but um yeah, even for like shit tons of money, Sadius is like, nah. And then Dalinar's like, but what about this? And then puts his entire shard blade in the
Yeah.
stone. And yeah, I guess that's why, was it in the beginning or
He's
like
him.
the synopsis of this book? It's like, oh, like people trade kingdoms for like the shards, and like
Mhm.
Dalinar just traded it for a bunch of bridgemen.
Hmm.
That's why
Yeah.
Dalinar's him.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. But I
So
was like, oh, friggin' no. I was like, I know you're an important sword because you got books named after you.
the meta.
But I mean, I saw it as Sadie as just being annoyingly stubborn about keeping the
Yeah.
one thing that Dalinar
Yeah.
wants.
Mm-hmm. He's like, there's like
Um,
siblings feuding.
yeah, because like so far, like Sadie has been catching L's. Like
Mm-hmm.
he
Almost
thought he
died.
was gonna get rid of the Colin family right there and then, and Renarin was gonna be so much easier to manipulate than Dalinar or Adolin, and now he's gone. And then Dalinar wants the bridge crew. And I don't think Sadius knows, right? Like what
Not
Kaladin's power
really.
is.
Well, he
No.
knows that they've been good at distracting the Parshendi with the bones because I guess he's been allowing it. I'm not sure if he knows specifically, but they've been allowed to do that on prior bridge runs after the first.
Yeah. He doesn't know about the powers.
Yeah.
Oh, then even more of a reason, yeah. But I mean, even less of a reason than just to like annoy Dalinar because Sadius didn't get
Hmm.
what he wanted, so
Hmm.
now Dalinar doesn't get what he wants.
But
I feel
for
like
Shard
maybe
Blade,
there's,
anything is possible.
yeah.
Yeah, what would you
But
do for a
yeah,
Shard Blade?
I think there's also a level of like right now, like plausible deniability for Sadius to be like, it was a tactical. I didn't set him up for this. But then if he like gives him over like this entire like this big thing that he asked for, people are gonna be like, well, he really was trying to make up for something,
Hmm.
you know. But and he just didn't want to because he's a little bitch.
Yep. Yup.
But for a shard blade, all right.
And then Dalinar is not done confronting people because then he goes to the
Yeah.
legit king and like
Oh,
roughs
that
him
was
up big time. And I actually
He
thought he
he
was
he
gonna kill him.
he fucking just like kicks him straight in the chest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Ellicott's just like, "Hey, uncle," and then just gets roundhouse kicked straight to the
he
wall.
absolutely wrecked. Like fucks up his plate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fucks
he's
up the
like, and
desk.
he just like stomps on his chest, and then as he's telling like, "You're gonna make," he's like making his demands, and then as he's leaving, he's like, "By the way, I'm fucking your mom," and leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also I'm your new daddy. I died.
Name drop or mic dropped. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I was like, damn, Dalinar, that was kinda hot.
Listen, the fear, putting the fear of death into you, it really makes you do
Yeah.
some things.
Then
But
I
also this
understood
is
what Navani saw in him. I was like, all right,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
I'd have the hots too.
oh yeah, we find out that Elokar was actually the one that cut his own saddle strap, and then I guess
Mm,
I didn't piece
Yeah,
that together until Dalinar like
this
said it, because when
motherfucker.
Sadius is like, "Oh, he kind of knows, but he won't tell me," kind of thing. And then
Mhm.
Dalinar's like, "Oh, I've unraveled this," and then approaches him and like just like slaps him and holds him down while like saying this stuff. I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, so I guess it's true. Like I didn't realize that like all of the king's guards are technically loyal to Dalinar, because like Elokar was like yelling for help and like nothing was coming because like Dalinar already like told them like, do not come in here no matter what.
mm,
Mhm.
So it really like
Yeah.
showed how like weak and vulnerable Elokar can be, at least without his uncle's strength and guidance. So
mm.
hopefully he'll be a good little boy now.
Yeah. I love he did the like, if I wanted to kill you, you'd already be dead.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And did Elokar win his shard plate and blade, or it's just like he gets it as king?
I think it was just
Probably
passed down
not.
to him from his
Yeah,
dad.
so
Yeah,
he
he was
probably
inherited.
doesn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
know how
It's
to
no way.
fight at all.
Yeah.
All right, so now part 5. So we don't have to go through chapter by chapter. It was short anyway. So let's go back to Shalyn, because her story is not as intertwined to the other two's right now. But this is where the Sanderlanche started in part 5.
Ish.
Mhm.
So she's still in the hospital, I guess, recovering, and then confronts the. I also did not piece this together, but it was strange that Jasna didn't notice that she had a fake
Mhm.
Fabrial for like weeks, months, or whatever it was. Um, and then Shalyn put it together that I guess Jasna's Fabrial was fake all along, and she can somehow inherently soul cast just like Shalyn did.
Mm,
Yeah.
And they both go to the Shadesmar because like Shalyn tries to cast, but then she gets like overcome because she like doesn't know what she's doing, and then Jasna's just in a boat of like beads or something like that.
She's like, you dumb idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pulls her out. But then in order to activate the power and the Shadesmar and the voices talking to her, they're like, "Oh, tell us the truth," and she's like, "Oh, I killed my father." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
What?
yeah,
Are we not
yeah.
Yeah.
gonna talk about that?"
Oh, damn.
So
And I mean, in next book or so, I think they'll go deep into what happened there. And Shalon says
Mhm.
something really interesting in this book that remind me to like bring it back again. Um,
Mm.
well, what does she say in
because
this book, or is it like, well, because we read this part at least.
she says something along the lines of 10 heartbeats. And
Yes, that was
Oh,
when
Yeah,
yeah,
she
yeah.
was
yeah.
suiciding herself, right?
Happened.
the only time you see someone mentioning heartbeats,
It's shard
Shard
blades.
Is
blades.
summoning a blade.
yeah.
Dude, does she have an inherent shard blade?
Oh, yeah. I
That's what
absolutely
I was.
wrote a
No.
note about that and
That's what
then
I was thinking.
totally
Yeah.
forgot about it.
I was thinking that maybe the casting is also like does 10 heartbeat stuff too, but I don't, that's because I didn't think it was possible that she had a blade on her, but I don't know, we'll see.
I don't know necessarily it was Blaze, but in my head I was like, maybe this innate soul casting is similar. Like it's shard based powers in a sense.
They
Because the
did
only
say
other
that
time
some Knights Radiant had the inherent soul casting
yeah,
ability,
there was
so
two
it does
orders of
coming from
radiance
them.
who could innately soul cast, is what they said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dang, all of our babies are getting
But
powers.
And they also mentioned the Geo boy band are Spren too,
Her
and
spread.
related
Mhm.
to
Yes.
the innate soul casting.
Yeah. Wait. What did Jasna said that? I didn't. Oh. Oh yeah. They just said type of sperm. They didn't. She didn't elaborate in that chapter.
Yeah.
But well, I don't remember what they even told us that the cover story for her dad dying was. They just like, yeah, her dad died, and I just assumed like of natural causes, or did they say that like, oh, like someone killed him? Did they say he was murdered? Like
I don't
earlier
think
in
they
the book,
said
at least.
murdered, but I think in
I
my
don't
head
remember.
it definitely the implication was it wasn't necessarily natural causes. I thought it was like an
Mhm.
accident with the soul caster, but I didn't think it was like murder.
Oh, okay, yeah, because then about like the creepy like shark, lone sharks coming, I was like, oh, maybe it's like
Yeah.
someone like killed him because of that. So that's what I was thinking up until now.
Mhm.
But we
yeah,
shall
I
find
don't
out.
think they know he was murdered. And definitely not caused by Salon because they wouldn't have sent her away. I think,
Mhm.
Hmm.
unless I actually don't remember now, so it's
I
okay if
mean,
I
maybe they
really
were
craft.
all in on it because,
And you're
Yeah.
all in on it
Dad was
That's
not
because
interesting.
good.
Yeah. It
he doesn't
doesn't sound
sound
like
like
they
a good
necessarily
dad.
like their dad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Although I will say
so
it doesn't seem like it was premeditated
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
now they're stuck with all like figuring out what to do and they're on a timeline. Like they wouldn't have killed him without a plan.
Hmm.
So it seems like it was maybe more of a spur of a moment thing, but that, maybe everyone knows what
Hmm.
happened.
Maybe it was manslaughter, not murder.
Yeah,
Mhm.
kind of the vibe. He seems like he was abusive, so my
yeah.
guess would be a he
But
just couldn't take it anymore.
we find out what with the bread and jam stuff because I think we were trying to piece together it last books. So now we know, I guess, how
Mm-hmm.
Was that his name? Capsule died, or yeah, died because he got poisoned. And Shalon still got poisoned, even though Jasna soul casted the jam, and that's why it smelled like odd and vinegary and not at all like fruity or strawberry like. And it turns out
Mhm.
Jasna's never had a strawberry before. That's why, because it's
Yeah,
rare.
rare fruit.
But what was it? Oh, so yeah, Jasna thought that the poison was in the jam, not the bread. So she soul casted the jam to something else, which was apparently the antidote, and that's why neither of the other two were saved. But then when Jasna
Mhm.
ate the bread, she also was like, I guess, suspicious and like soul casted that or like
That's the
melted it
bread.
into her mouth or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I guess the big drop. So Jasna is trying to figure out what these powers are, and then there's an evil group of people, and then Shalon's like, oh, like, yeah, I think, my dad was involved with that group, Ghost Blood, right?
The Ghost Bloods,
Hmm.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
then they say that the Voidbringers are actually the Parshendi, so that was like the big drop in
Yeah.
Shalon's part, and I was
Yeah.
like, that seems kind of too cliche. Like, I don't know, for me, that like
And like yeah,
this group of people that is othered turns out being like, oh, the big baddies, aka like the
and they
Voidbringers.
yeah, they talk
Yeah, it's
about
giving
like
magical racism.
you think
Yeah.
humans would just like get rid of a powerful thing they can use and all that stuff. But yeah, I agree. It feels very magic racism-y.
Yes,
Uh
yeah, that's what I was the
Mhm.
vibes I was getting. I was like,
which to be
I don't know how
fair,
I feel about this right now.
in this world, magic racism makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
I
I
I
feel
mean,
like we've
I would
seen a
also want
lot
to
of.
kill the humans if I were a Parshendi. Like, but I'm a slave.
Hmm.
Like, let me release the Voidbringer in me
Yeah,
and
let
kill
me just
them
go
all.
ape shit.
But that is actually that reveal is actually terrifying when you like think about like when they were thinking of the implications, like
Yeah,
that
because
Mhm.
the Parshmen are literally ingrained into their entire society.
yep.
Yeah. And can like communicate almost telepathically.
Yeah, they're like a hive mind too.
But I wonder,
Yeah.
like, do the like not the Parshendi, but do the Parshmen know that, or they're just so like docile and like domesticated that like they don't really know their full capability?
Yeah. It seems
I
like
actually
they don't
forgot this plot
maybe
point.
know, but
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be discussed later, but I was thinking about that. I'm like, oh, if that's the case, like, you know, for however many years they've been domesticated, like they're not like they haven't shown any acts or like feelings of like
Mm.
yeah.
revolution or whatever. So
But they do
it,
talk about that. It's like it comes in like desolations or whatever. So it could just be,
mm,
a winter soldier like activated kind of deal like at some
Yeah.
point.
true. But yeah, that's Shallan's deal, and we'll find out in the next book. I think the next book's based on her. Is that what we said?
Yeah, this
Okay, so
book's based on
she's
Kaladin.
Mhm.
Next book's is hers.
nice. Which is good because yeah, hers was like her plot was like kind of taking a sideline because it was I guess less related to Dalinar and Kaladin, but now it's like we get
Yeah.
more interesting magic-y lore and like
But at the
secret
end of
orders and
this,
conspiracies. So
they decide, or Jasmine decides they're going to the plane, so the band's getting back together.
yeah, yeah. Well, now they're gonna all
Yeah.
meet,
Yeah. So finally
but they
everybody's
don't know.
paths are
Only
gonna
we
cross.
know.
What are we? Some kind of suicide squad?
I never saw the movie, but
Honestly,
apparently they say
basically.
that.
Honestly, like the movie was so
Like,
bad that I need to watch
It
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 again.
it was so bad, so
I
bad.
That's like
So bad.
that's like when people would say like, "Oh, he's saying in what in Morbius," and they're like, "He's about a Morb," or like, "I love when Morbius
Yeah.
says
he's Morbin.
it's Morbin time." Yeah, I'm like, you could have fooled me. I didn't know that line was in Suicide Squad.
Or
Yeah.
or like that
Yeah.
Fantastic Four and the new Fantastic Four where they're like, it's like, what should we call ourselves? You're like, I don't know, but this is kind of fantastic. Say that again?
What?
Yeah.
Oh God, it's why?
It's
Who's
It's
writing
dude,
these?
it's cringe.
I love it so much. It's so funny.
Wasn't it Martin Scorsese that said that superhero movies were gonna be the end of cinema? And now, when he said it, I was like, "Oh, shut up, fucking boomer!" And I'm like, "Oh, damn."
Maybe
Oh,
it
And
is.
here we find ourselves at the end of cinema.
Uh,
yeah.
Peter's listening in behind, and he says, "Yes, that's exactly what Martin Scorsese said." And he said he was low key was right, which true.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
It's
like,
it's
now I'm like, "Oh shit."
it's
He
like
spoke the truth
Miyazaki
and we
saying
didn't.
anime was a mistake. It's
Yeah,
very much
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Very much is true. Like, these were visionaries. They were seeing we were, like, out
They
there
know.
mucking in the mud. Meanwhile, they were
They're
elevated.
playing
It
Maybe
was
they were
like
4D.
getting
they were
visions
that
from God.
they were that meme. It's like he spoke the truth, and thus everybody hated him. Like
Yeah.
that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
why are you
But
booing me? I'm right. That's what Peter said.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, we'll have next book is gonna be we're gonna have Shallan take the forefront, but that doesn't mean that our friend Kaladin is gonna be put in the back burner either.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'm
It's just
assuming
gonna
it's
be
gonna be
like more of a
similar.
focus on her like story
Yeah.
because I feel like yeah, she definitely was more like felt more like a side main character than like the main character in the this book.
Yeah, I do like her sketches though. I think
Mm.
like it really helped
Mhm.
with visualize because I honestly had no fucking clue
Yeah,
what the hell was a chol
Yeah, the crab
until
thingies and the rock
yeah
plants.
yeah. The drawing of the whatever the one that is a dog in this world was
the
extremely
axe
helpful
sound.
to
Mm.
me. Yeah, because when they described that, I was like, I do not know what you're saying. this these pieces are not coming together. And I was like, oh, okay, that's helpful to see it.
And I guess is her powers of like memory capture gonna be explained too? Because like she
Yeah,
is apparently the only person
that
who can
seems
Yes.
has like an
important.
exact photographic memory.
Hmm.
It feels like she has like eidetic memory or whatever it's called, right? Where like she just sees
Yeah.
it and it's in her brain.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But hopefully we get backstory. I guess so. Side note, we get a side story with our friend Zeth again. We love Zeth.
Mm.
Poor guy.
And
That's Sun
yeah,
Villano.
Yeah. And
That,
he meets
was the
his
Shinovar.
hidden master, Taravangian, this whole time,
yeah,
which is
Oh, dude,
Uh-huh.
that
crazy.
that reveal was crazy too.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
Not in a million years would I have ever assumed that he was actually this mastermind.
Because it was this whole like almost like Snow White thing where like oh she disguises herself as like an old frail person. So I just thought he was kind
hmm
of like a dumb king.
Yeah,
Not
because
dumb, but
in
just
my
like
head,
a
he
whatever.
was 100% the salt like Jasmine's
Yeah,
dad in
yeah, yeah,
Aladdin. In
yeah,
my head,
yeah.
that was
That's exactly
100%
what it
is
was.
all I imagined him as. It's just like this kind of
Like a
like
jolly guy.
dopey king that he's like kind of endearing.
Uh-huh.
But nope, he's
Also, a
actually
little
doing
bit
some fucked up
King Boomy.
experiments.
That's what I was getting.
But now it makes sense though because they keep saying like, oh, like whenever you're sick, send your people to Taravangian and they have the best hospitals
Mm,
and they'll take care of you. And it turns out you will literally be a guinea pig and they will drain your blood.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
So that was insane. And now we know
Yeah.
where those text line passages for the forewords of the chapter come from and how they're recorded. Because I also
Mhm.
wondered, I'm like, oh, how do they
Yeah.
know that this person said something? Because it was like their dying words. Like who is recording this as they die? And like we saw that
But there has to be
Kaladin.
like a trigger, right? Because not all the characters that we've seen that are dying have said
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean they said that not
anything.
all of them do that too. Like the king said
Yeah,
that
and
they'll
then
Yeah.
observe them.
yeah, and like part of the reason why they have everyone there is they're trying to figure out like how like the all the parameters that causes these like
Yeah.
sayings and what they mean.
Hmm. But now it makes
Mhm.
sense because they were recorded very like scientifically. And then I was saying
Hmm.
like as we saw with like Kaladin's group, like when a dude was just like sputtering that nonsense as dying, they're just like "Yeah, it's whatever," and like no one was like, I was like, if this just happens and no one cares, like how can we have all of these data points basically from
Hmm.
people? And now we know because there's a back room where stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Okay, and
But
then that was
but
the
he
end of
thinks he's doing
Zeth's.
it to save the world. So
I
that's
mean,
okay.
I guess like the greater
That's
good.
okay.
It's okay. He says it's for the best of mankind. It's okay.
Yeah, but he did
Yeah.
say that he only takes people that no one would miss. I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Mhm.
Giving magical race classes.
Classism.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was
But
Zeth's storyline for this book. And then I guess it was back to Kaladin. All I wrote for chapter 73 was that the power of Nakamas can truly not be understated. Because they're all like Nakamas now. The bridge crew is in Dalinar's camp and they're feasting and they have beds. Oh my god.
Crazy. Beds
Crazy.
and a chest.
Yes. And they're like all happy because they're like, dang, like we didn't think, Kaladin could get us out. And now like I guess all the bridge people are in Dalinar's thing. Oh, and then Kaladin's making those demands of Dalinar again. It's like, no, we're gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna put us here, and all that. And Dalinar's like, okay. What a chill
Yeah.
guy.
They makes him a captain.
Because he said that's like the highest he can
Promotion.
make like a slave dark eyes, basically.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me too that Kaladin still has the slave glyph like burned into his forehead. So like this entire time, like his brand is very obvious.
Mhm. I was thinking about that. I was like, I
yes,
wonder, like, can somebody could probably do something about that, right? Like, do they have scar
they'll
removal in
go
this
into
world?
it. They'll
Oh,
go into
okay.
it in future books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like a magical removal process?
No,
Surely,
but
if you
like,
could purify poison out of someone's blood, I feel like we can do some cosmetic adjustments.
Yeah,
or if you think
plastic
about it,
surgery.
like Kaladin is able to heal himself, and yet
Mm,
he doesn't do
that's true.
anything about the brand. Like right now,
Maybe
it's
it's like
because he can't really control it.
Wow.
mhm.
But
Self-inflicted.
Maybe it's like more spiritual where like he sees himself as a slave still and once he accepts that he's not, it'll disappear or something.
Hmm.
That's
actually, I
my
forgot that
theory.
plot
It's
point. So I
punishment.
can also theory craft. Yes, I
Hmm.
think so too.
Yeah, it was all inside. The power was inside him the whole time. Yeah, maybe the
Yeah.
true power was the fact that you don't have to feel oppressed all the time.
Yeah. He has to cure his depression first.
Yes.
Oh man, the man's
But
depressed.
but the Bridgemen are gonna be Dalinar's personal guard.
Mhm.
So they got a
Quite the
real promotion.
upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From army fodder to like the highest level of like people in the army almost in terms of
Yeah.
like what you do. They have a real job, not just being soldiers.
Hmm.
But it's all about the
And,
trust.
and Dalinar definitely saw Kaladin glowing, and he
Yeah.
remembers. So he's like, I'm gonna get back to that.
Dalinar's too smart. Oh yeah, but this is where Dalinar has another vision. It's chapter 74. And this is where we find out that the visions are from
Finally.
God himself. And when they said that, I was like, is this the same God as in Mistborn? Because like the way they were describing him,
Say
I was
that?
like, yeah, I was like, is this like what Sazed like sounds like? But then reading back, I'm like, it doesn't really sound like it. So I'm not sure what the intent was. And I'm not sure if explaining what that means is a spoiler. But yeah, that was my thought about that God drop.
Yeah.
New
Except
god
he's
just
dead.
dropped.
Yeah, new God just dropped.
He dropped and he's gone because he did.
Yeah, because then he says odium has killed me, which I don't think it's the first time we heard about that word anymore
Yeah,
either.
they said
No.
that once before. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't remember in what context though, because I just try to control
I
F
think
my
it was. I
notes.
think
It
it was
was
one. It was during Cal's vision thing. I think,
Oh, when he
right?
was
Is
speaking
that
to
when
when he
he's
God
called
too.
Kyle the
flying.
Tanavest? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
so.
It's also I think been in the like chapter intro sections in the one that sounded like it was like someone's personal journal, like one
Hmm.
of the heralds or something. I think
Yeah.
it was mentioned in that as well.
Okay. Well, clearly it's going to be important.
Mhm. He's coming.
He's coming. Oh Lord, he's coming. And then the epilogue, we get to see Wit again, who I guess is kind of back from wherever the hell he went, and is just like entertaining these guards that have no idea what the hell's going on outside of the war camp. And then while Wit is talking, I didn't like write down what he said, so I don't really remember. But then I wrote a wet and ragged shardbearer comes to Dalinar's gates and passes out. But he said
Yeah.
he's Talinil Ellen, Stone Sinew, Herald of the Almighty, and says the desolation has come. Oh Lord, it has come. And then he put his blade into the thingy, and then I had to reread the prologue. So apparently, if his blade still stood, it means he didn't actually die. Because I thought he just like flat out died as soon as he reached the gates. But I guess he's somewhat alive if his blade is still there. But yeah, so after I finished the epilogue, I went back to the prologue, and then what I sussed together is that this guy Talanil was like the one dude that they left behind in the beginning. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is correct, but from what I got from it is that when the heralds die, they like respawn in like their holding chamber, which is like some really intense hell that they don't like. So he like Talanil died and got sent back to hell, and then the other heralds are like, oh, we're just gonna leave him there, and like we didn't die, and we're just gonna like peace out and just not return to our hell. And then the guy's like, oh, I feel
Mhm.
bad about leaving him behind, and they're like, it's okay, blah blah blah.
Better
So now,
one person
yeah.
suffers than all of us,
Yeah, so
etc.
then Talanil, I guess, somehow gets released, spawns back into the real world, and is like, oh, I'm here to tell you guys the desolation has come, and then passes out.
Also, fun fact, that is the devotee that Dalinar belongs to. Is the devotee of Telinalat, which I assume is him because it's like they have different names at different,
Hmm.
you know,
Mhm.
times of things. And he's the one the guy who shouldered all the burdens of everybody else. So
Hmm. Maybe he's Jesus.
yeah.
He died for our sins.
No,
Yeah.
literally. And then he like the way
Actually,
they're
he
describing
continues to
hell.
live, I think, for our sins.
That's a good
That's
point.
true. Well, I think from reading the
He
prologue,
lives
it's like
and
when
feeds the beast.
the other heralds just like stuck their stones in the ground and then like walked away. It sounded like I don't know if they're still living like in like contemporary times now, but like they I guess continued to live on Roshar for the time, and then the way they were describing this weird like respawn hell is like every day their like skin is dragged by like hooks or something, and there's chains and there's fire. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
that does not sound very nice.
Yeah,
Very bad.
they really did their boy dirty.
Yeah, so and it's weird, like I don't understand like why that is, because it sounds like they're basically being punished, even though like, oh, the heralds are some like mighty people who are strong and like save humanity, but like they're punishment for quote unquote dying is like to be sent back to this weird like purgatory hell thing. Yeah. So
Mhm.
hopefully that gets
Yeah,
explained.
it's not a good, what's the word? Um, deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad
It
system.
yeah. Which is why they want to just like break the cycle of desolations, they said. Even though they said that it was a lie, so they're like, "Oh, just yeah, have humanity think that they won. Don't tell them that another desolation is coming. It's fine. Like it's gonna be like way later, and they'll figure it out."
They'll figure it out, yeah,
Yeah,
by that time.
and then Tal'Neil comes back. I guess because the desolation is coming, right? So it sounds like the heralds only show up when like shit's about to happen. So he
Mhm.
shows up because he's the only one left, basically, and is like, "Yeah, you guys, the final desolation's coming." End scene.
Yeah, end book.
Yeah, but that was a nice epilogue. That was cool. Like I think if it was like if I saw this in a TV series or something, it was like, "Oh shit, like I want to know what's happening next."
Yeah, when I finished this, I was like, "Damn." But I just know that when we start the next book, it's just gonna like, it's not gonna be at this pace, because he ramps it up
Oh
so much
yeah.
to the end.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, all this stuff," and you really want to start the next one, I'm like, "I just know it's gonna be slow as hell for the first 750 pages."
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
100%.
would say, like, looking back at it now, overall thoughts of the book, I really like what he does, but he really needs to trim down some of
Mm.
the scenes.
Mhm.
Like, I was like, between all the
Either
times he went down. Huh?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say either he trims down or he uh like divvies the pacing a little bit more evenly amongst the rest of
Mhm.
the book. Because it definitely I like, as much as I love a good Sanderlanche, like the main complaint that people always have about Way of Kings, at least from what I've seen online, is that the pacing feels so lopsided.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like somehow we only find out all of these major plot points in like the last 3 chapters.
Yeah.
Which I guess is good for like setup wise and is like cool as a reveal, but then you feel so like if a second book wasn't already out and I finished The Way of Kings, I'd been like, so I'm waiting 10 years to figure out like what the hell happens with all this later, you know?
Yeah.
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 But I guess also like the difference in pacing, like when it gets slow in the beginning, won't hit as hard if you're waiting the like 3 to 4 years, five
Mhm.
years for the
Yeah,
next
Yep.
book.
that's
But
true.
the thing is, like, like, I assume most fantasy books are gonna be slow in the beginning.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, it's part of the, like, they're world building,
Yeah,
and
it's part
that's
of like the
fine.
genre.
But I just felt like it was too repetitive, especially this book
Mm.
is about Kaladin. Kaladin's storyline was too repetitive. Um,
We could have cut down
like,
on some of the depression scenes, if I'm
Yeah,
being
and the
honest.
flashbacks, like there were a lot of flashbacks where I think they could have been condensed and I didn't need to see
Yeah.
like every
yeah,
single flashback or it could have been combined to like a
Mhm.
chapter of multiple flashbacks.
yeah. Because like there's a lot of plot points that just don't really impact the story. Like I didn't need to go on multiple of their chasm explorations when they were
Mhm.
like,
Training and stuff.
Mhm.
they could have condensed so many of the he could have condensed so many of the important plot points into just like
Hmm.
a couple chasm runs
Oh,
instead of
and yeah,
like,
and
Yeah.
oh, and
them
this.
getting money through like the reed milkweed.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
my
Oh,
god.
yeah, and then that just
Oh my
stopped.
god. The sap, yeah, and then that was like, oh,
Mm.
that's it. Yeah, I like if I could ask him to rewrite this book, I'd be like, you could easily trim down like 300 pages.
Hmm.
Um, and still keep the main, because at the end of the day, like I care about the characters, not really
Mhm.
like how they're harvesting the sap.
Yeah, and also the fact
But
that we didn't get to see like the Tien dying flashback until literally like the end. I mean, I guess it makes sense because it helps him say the words,
But
but still.
isn't this like
Yeah.
kind of just like the nature of a lot of fantasy though? Is like a lot of what you could say is nothing is kind of part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know what
I
I
guess.
Yeah,
mean? Like
journey before destination.
yeah, journey before destination. Like I feel like I've accepted that there's gonna be a lot of just like why is this here to me, but I agree.
I don't know. I
I
just feel
feel
like
like
we need to do better in fantasy
mm,
then. 'Cause,
I completely agree.
um
I personally agree. Like, there's definitely a lot you could trim down,
Hmm.
to make it feel like the pacing feel more even, as you're reading. Because it's not just in this book, to be honest. Like, even like Mistborn, a lot of it is
yeah.
there's a lot of
Hmm.
that.
I think
Yeah, and
as
those are
someone,
shorter
But
books.
mhm.
yeah. Oh, go ahead, Miana.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, and I voiced this, I think, in one of the earlier book clubs, but for me, what was difficult with this book is because, like, this world is so different from, like, our world, whereas, like, Mistborn was, like, they still had the same, like, things.
Hmm.
Here, it's, like, completely different geographically, culturally, society, like, biology-wise, like, in terms of, like, plants and stuff and animals. I was like, it was a
Hmm.
lot to take in the beginning, and while I don't want Brando Sano to like have to like stop and explain everything in every sentence at the beginning because that's like way too much like talking instead of showing. Him just like name dropping things and me not knowing what it is and like the audience, I guess in general, not knowing what it is at that point, it kind of like you lose the meaning because you're not describing what it is until later. So then like someone's gonna have to go back and say like, oh yeah, I remember when he first talked about this and that's why this crab thing can haul a bridge because it's like humongous or something like that, you know?
Mm.
So,
Hmm.
I mean, it's a balance, and I don't know if I've read anything that had like a perfect balance between like too much exposition in the beginning and not enough. I I guess I do prefer this way where he's like not just straight up talking about everything, but
Yeah.
you know, because of just the nature of this book and the fact that like everything is so different about the society and the geography and whatnot, like it makes sense of like why it's so hard to like for a reader who has not picked up this series before or like any Brando Sando to like understand like what is going on and like what these words mean. Because
Funny
I
enough,
forgot
this is
how
that.
fantasy just makes up words, like everything is
Yeah.
made up. So
Mm. This is
I
actually
think
an
it would really
argument I'm seeing
benefit.
on Book Talk right now of like how much description should fantasy have, and like people arguing
Mm.
like, I think you guys don't actually want to read fantasy, you just want to read a TV show in word format, and like people arguing about stuff like that.
Like, my
but
thing with
mhm,
fantasy is, like, how do you do info dumps? Because, like,
mhm,
if you think about
Yeah.
it, we
Yeah.
don't talk to each other, and when we get on a car, for example, we don't talk like, yeah, so the car works with an engine, and the engine, like, powers
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
the
mhm,
like, we don't talk like that, and yet, like, if someone from, I don't know, like, outer space was reading a book made of our civilization, they'd be like, "What the fuck is a car?"
Mhm.
So,
yeah.
like, um,
And I feel like
I
a
don't know,
part of
like
it is is the author trusting that you will pick up on certain things purely off of context clues, and
And
then
that's if they
to the
provide
reader
enough
trust
context clues
and
though.
the reader trusting that the
Yeah.
author will provide enough context clues
Yeah.
for you to figure it out.
Because like, if he just name drops it once, and let's say they only use this weird magical car once, I'm just gonna forget about it and, like, not care
Mm.
that, like, they have this technology or whatever.
Yeah.
And the pictures did
Which
help
is
though,
fine
like we
because,
talked
like,
about,
you
yeah.
don't need to know every single thing. You know, like, if they
Yeah.
get in a magical
yeah.
car and then it's never relevant again, like, that's
You
totally
don't need to know
fine.
about that, yeah.
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 It's like, the
Yeah.
That's yeah.
characters don't care, then why would I? Is
Yeah,
my
it's
Mhm.
my
more
point with a
it's
lot of
more of like
these.
flavor text than it is actual like plot like
Yeah.
related.
Yeah,
Picking and
like, I
choosing
remember,
what gets context.
if Sanderson was, like, describing at one point, like, this food that I was like, "Wait, is that, like, a real food or not?" And I looked it up, and I'm like, "Oh, it's fake food." I'm like,
Fake
"But
food.
why?" That he never mentions it again, and I'm like, "I don't really care
He thought about this in
about."
a dream and just came to him, "You know what? I'm gonna put this, like, fake food and I'm gonna call it this, and this is what they eat now." And I'm like, "Okay."
Like, I thought it was interesting, like, the spicy versus the sweet, like, that's, like, cultural, like,
Yeah.
it
Imagine he
tells us a
invented,
Mhm.
lot
like, a
about
6th
the.
taste. Like, instead of
Oh,
umami,
yeah,
there's, like, a
like,
further taste, and you're like, "What? Why do I need this?"
what? Yeah, it's like, okay, it doesn't do anything to contribute to the story. So that's why I'm like, if you put all those things together, like, world building parts that don't really add to the characters' plots, you could really easily trim down, and I don't know.
Mhm.
That's,
Mhm.
like, my take on fantasy nowadays.
Would you
Mhm.
say
Because, like,
he
you think
gets
about it,
better about it as he goes along in the series? Because this is the first book in the Stormlight, and it was like his biggest endeavor at the time when it came out.
unfortunately, I think it gets worse.
No.
Okay.
You mean in the series or is like his
I
other books?
given that the word count keeps increasing every book, I'm not surprised by
yeah.
that.
Yeah, like, cause
Like, I
like
mean,
you,
he
you
he
think about it,
literally
we
had to get a new printer just because his book was so fucking big, the most recent one.
yeah. Yeah, no, like I really think he and like I think that's the problem when you have a world builder like mindset for a novel instead of a storyteller mindset for a novel. Because if
yeah.
you're a world builder, you want people to like your world as much as you do. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
you like the world because of the people that are in it, not because of the world. So I don't know. I think Brand like I still have to read the last two books. I haven't read Rhythm of War, and obviously like we're gonna like read um what's the name of the fifth one? Winds of Truth?
Wind and truth.
When in truth.
Wind and Truth. But from what I've read of reviews, it doesn't get better.
Okay, yeah.
No.
I I am excited
I
to
thought
read
he
some of the
finished with the
novellas
world building.
in Roshar because I heard the Sunlit Man is like peak is what I've read about it.
Looking at the map though for Roshar, like there's so many like places we haven't been to except in the interludes, like where the places the other bridgemen said they're from and
Mhm.
Shinovar and all that
Mhm.
stuff. Like we haven't been located there yet, except in like very brief
I
vignettes,
do want to
basically.
learn more about the Horn Eaters. They're so interesting to me.
Hmm. And they're like
Yeah.
singing. They're like singing competitions,
Yeah,
right?
I really love rock. I think is why I want to learn more about the
Yeah.
Horn Eaters.
Yeah.
Just a chill guy.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's a
We'll see
chill
if
guy
these
who just wants to
complaints
cook and
hold true.
sing.
But yeah, I guess I mean I thought it would get better in this like later books because I'm like, okay, we've been introduced to their society and the culture and the rock things and the plants and the storms, so it's like, oh, like you can like gloss over it now. But I guess because like there's still more to explore, Brandon Sando is still like name dropping things that we've never heard before.
Yeah, because there's always more to explore
Mm,
with a world builder, you know? Like,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
it never is enough. So, I don't know. I have to obviously like rereading this book, I'm like, damn. It's also like I read it when I was a teenager, so of course I had so much time.
mhm,
But
Mhm.
now that I'm like working, I'm like, wait, how am I supposed to not only read this book, but there's other good books, you know? That's how I
mhm,
feel
Yeah.
about, I guess, some TV shows where
Mm.
um it's a slog, and or like some movies that are 3 hours long, but it could have been too much. That's how I felt about
Oh
Wicked.
yeah.
Yeah.
mhm,
This is how yeah, I mean, this is my complaint about movies today. They're too long.
Too
They're
long.
unnecessarily too long. Like, there are 3-hour movies that I think deserve the 3-hour mark, but majority of the 3-hour movies never even come close to deserving the
mhm.
3-hour mark.
No.
Sound of
Yeah,
Music, two
it's like
hours for 50 minutes. Hell yeah.
Like, I
That's
genuinely think
fine.
a movie, an hour and a half, is all you need if it's, like, a good story, like, for most things.
that's an amazing length. That's an
Yeah.
amazing length. Like 1 hour, what 90 to 120 minutes is the length,
Mhm.
the peak length.
Yeah.
Because it shows that you have a full story to tell, and then you took the time to edit it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Editing is an art.
It
Mhm.
really is. But yeah, those are my 2 cents now that I'm rereading it, and I don't know what y'all think.
I mean,
I
I
agree.
definitely agree. I think with everything, because like I agree, especially like you know me. I love my garbage isekai, but as I grow older and have less time, I can only stomach so much when I realize how much of my time is being eaten up by shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah, every time I see a new one on the Crunchyroll homepage and I snap it to you guys, I'm like, "What is this and why? Why did we spend the time to translate and sub this Crunchyroll? You could have bought a different series."
But there are a lot of fire anime coming out soon, from what I can see that I'm very interested in that are not
Like
garbage isekai. So we're at least
they
not
got 500
completely.
garbage isekai, but Crunchyroll didn't buy my fucking sports anime about bow and arrow. I'm still bitter about that. I want to watch the second season, and Crunchyroll doesn't have it, but they have I like tripped and fell and then became a secretary in another world.
Stop. Wait, I
I
think
will
that was
say
the one I
one
sent
of
or
my
something,
one
right?
of my
Well, yeah,
favorite
there's one that's like something about being a secretary, and I was like, I'm gonna kill myself.
I will say one of my favorite isekai is this guy gets into another world and his power he has zero powers. It's just he's really good at bureaucracy and he basically just creates the most fire kingdom because of his
Do you think if
bureaucracy
Brando
skills.
Sando watched an isekai anime, he would like get so angry?
It's
I
like,
mean,
what is
maybe he
this
would enjoy
world
the
building?
bureaucracy
Yeah.
one though because it goes really into world building.
Someone needs to
Uh,
do an interview with him. Have you ever seen this anime?
Random
I mean, he
Sando.
definitely sees anime because, like, who
For sure.
doesn't?
Yeah,
It's
in
mainstream
this day
now.
and age, it's just part
He
of
knows
like
of
the
anime, but has he
pop
seen
culture
one?
sphere.
Maybe not.
I honestly would not doubt that he has at least seen some anime. Like I don't know
Yeah,
why like just the types
it's
of
the
stories he
vibe.
tells too gives vibes of someone who's seen at least a single anime in his life.
Maybe like Berserk or something.
Imagine it's like Oran High School Host Club. That's like the
Hell
one anime.
yeah.
you see.
One of us.
Honestly,
One of us.
respect that. That would give him a lot of points. I feel like in my book.
Yeah. That means he has good taste.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But all right, we'll wrap this up. We'll talk about scheduling, and we are going to go into the next book, right? In the Starlight Archive.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So I
Word
gotta,
of Radiance.
I already
yes.
put my notes app. My template is ready. I will
Alrighties.
probably not go immediately into reading Words of Radiance though, because I want to finish Poppy War first. I'm almost done.
Oh yeah, yeah, you've been reading
Wait,
that.
Nice.
yeah, let me know
Yeah.
because, like, I wanted to read Babel. Is it Babel or Babel in English?
I would
Babel?
I say
Babel. I think
Babel.
Oh no,
I
Tower of
said
Babel though.
Babel,
Babel?
but
Tower
I
of
say
Babel.
Babel, but I think it's Tower of Babel. Yeah, I don't know. I just call it Babel,
Babel?
but that's because I kept hearing people say Babel.
But
So
Babel's like that talking app thingy that
That's the
teaches you
Yeah,
app,
language.
I
right?
think
yeah,
So it's
it
Babel,
sounds
right?
too silly to me.
It's like you're babbling.
Babel. Yeah,
Okay, so
which
it's
is where
Babel.
we get that word from.
Oh.
mhm.
Oh, so it is Babel.
But
Oh no, I call it
if you
Tower of
want it,
Babel though.
Well,
I will say you can
yeah.
tell that Poppy War came before Babel, like writing wise. Like I feel like she got stronger when she went
Mm.
into Babel. But I mean, Poppy War is still amazing, and also it's the first book in the series of three, so like it's definitely like it's like more intro stuff. But Babel, highly recommend. I love that book.
You read Babel
It's
first?
like for
Yeah,
Uh,
I read Babel first just because like I wanted like a kind of a standalone when I was just finding a side book. I didn't really want to go into a series, but Babel was so good. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna read Poppy War now.
because
I
from
really want to read it, but I'm just edging so hard because I know that I like really think that I'm gonna like it, and then I don't want to be done having read it. So I just
Yeah,
haven't read it for like years.
Babel destroyed my soul. And I did not expect it to, but it did. It hit all the right points. Making fun of white guilt, shitting on colonialism, and gay tragedy.
Damn.
Ugh,
Always a gay tragedy.
I didn't
Why?
even know about the gay tragedy before, and now I'm like, damn, I'm gonna like it even more.
I also did not know. Apparently, that was like a big thing online about why the book was popular, and I knew nothing
Oh,
about it. Yeah,
That's
I didn't
good.
know that.
same.
Yeah, because I told my cousin about it, and they're like, "Yeah, that was like all over Reddit. Was people like talking about the gay tragedy?" I was like, "What? I knew
man,
nothing
let the
about that."
gays be happy. I'm gonna write a book and have the gays be happy. Honestly, like no gay
Fucking
tragedy in that
right,
book.
you are.
Like everyone is like a
Absolutely.
gay tragedy. I'm like, let them live.
Says you who
But
loves angst above all. There's no way.
They
in
could
my
have a happy
fan
ending.
fiction, though, in my fan fiction, not in my
And what
book.
is okay? What's more gay tragedy than fan fiction?
That is true. In my fan, like, because I like angst in my fanfics, but I
But
want happy endings in my canon.
True,
mm,
true.
I will say I think you guys would love the magic system of Babel. It's like linguistics and translation
Linguistic.
based. It's so
Yeah.
cool. I love it so
I've read
much.
like several books that have magic based on like that's based in linguistics, and I really like it. I think it's really interesting.
I think the magic system in my book's gonna be based on coding.
Like
Oh,
computer
actually,
code?
Fucking nerd.
actually, interesting enough, I read a book, a dark academia book recently. Actually, it was the book I was reading when we went to North Carolina. It's like coding based. In
Hmm.
a kind of like it's very like they type in their magic into like as if you're
Into a
coding. It's
console?
very interesting. Yeah.
But
Was
there's
Yeah,
this
gonna
I
written
be
would
by a
read
CS
there's
guy
that.
gonna
that
be
wanted to feel
the
better about themselves? So like CS is magic.
Yeah.
It's real engineering and magic, guys.
but it'll be like multiple levels, there's the programmer,
Hmm.
there's the compiling, there's UX and UI,
Mm,
like
Yeah.
there's like
yeah.
um but and I might read Babel then. I just like read that the magic doesn't actually have much of an impact in like the world building is not as strong. Like
Yeah,
it
no,
doesn't
yeah,
really talk about
I
how
would agree. I would agree with that for sure. Yeah, like I wish they went into it more, but it was a very interesting concept. It's definitely not like
like
the magic is not the important part of the book. It's like definitely more of a
yeah.
character driven thing.
Yeah, like it doesn't talk about how much the what's different about this world than our current reality. Like the
Mm.
British
Hmm.
Mm,
are still like the colonists and they still do the same thing that they did now, right?
yeah.
Is that
It's
true or not? Or like
yeah, it's kind of almost like an alternate timeline where like there is like magic involved, but it's not like as like it's very similar to our world, pretty much one to one, except for a lot of like the power comes from this magic system, but it's like very much in the background kind of thing. It's not in the forefront.
um
Mm.
okay.
All right, I'm gonna end the stream here and we'll talk about scheduling. But that was cool. Maybe you could read one of those books as like an interim. Or well, I guess you guys read it already.
Mm.
I'll read a book as an interim between other
I'm
books.
I, I'm
I'll
constantly
read a
reading side
book.
books.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you guys are thinking about reading a book but don't want to spend time, recommend it to me and I'll probably read it on the side and I'll let you know.
Actually,
Dang.
I've heard great things about Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell
I've never heard
by
of that
Susanna
I
before.
have not
Clark.
heard this.
I just heard about this. Yes.
I have
Mr.
heard
Norrell.
excellent things and um but I just know that I won't be able to read it as if I'm not like in a book club.
Mm.
So
Mm.
Hmm.
Well, now that we've conquered this book, any other book is gonna seem kind of short.
Except
That
for
Other
the
is
than
next
true.
the
book in
other
this
books in the
That
series.
series. Yeah.
that is actually so true. Reading Babel, I was like, I thought it would be long, but it was so much shorter compared to anything Brandon Sanderson writes.
Oh yeah, I think did I say I forget if I said it last book club, but this book is like a third of the Bible, like just the Way of Kings, I think. So if you read
no,
this
that
book 3
just
times, you would have read the entire length of the
Wow. We're a
Bible,
third of
word
the way
count
through the
wise.
Bible.
So
Jesus
And
Christ.
I really thought the Carpenter plot point would have made a bigger impact towards the end of the book.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
It
like,
would
why did they set him up like that? And then it just doesn't, it
yeah,
never
wait, I
comes
just
back. Like,
realized
he doesn't
Bible
use
study
those
is
skills.
Bible book club.
yeah,
I
it's
just realized.
especially you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
when he was hung up on a wooden cross, you would think he would use his carpentry powers at some point.
Yeah, like some
He didn't awaken to
skills.
them yet, Lewis.
He was a carpenter first. Shouldn't he know, like, where the wood was
Yeah.
weak, you know?
Mm, he didn't know enough yet. But his dad saved him in the end, it's okay.
Mm,
Spoiler alert.
the Bible, my favorite isekai.
For real.
Alright, let me end the stream. We'll take a look at our calendars and we'll see y'all next time with our new book, the second Stormlight Archives. Was it? When?
Words of
Words
Radiance.
of
Words of
Radiance.
Radiance. Nice. Alright, see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye,
I
Johnny.